Ubisoft has come under fire a few times this year. They're not new to controversy. They've had their fair share throughout the years. Ubisoft has brought us some great franchises like Rayman, Assassin's Creed, Splinter Cell, Far Cry, and many more. But they are also the king of milking franchises, especially with Assassin's Creed and Just Dance. In my opinion, Ubisoft is in the same ballpark as EA. They have and can make good and even great games, but they make a lot of poor and greedy decisions. I mean, they both have the same company motto.
We've got to have money.
It seems like both companies just want to nickel and dime their customers as much as possible.
Where's the money, Lebowski? You want that money, Lebowski? Bunny says you're good for it.
Ubisoft's games have more of a reputation of being generic and mid than being horrible. I wouldn't put them on the same level as LJN, Data Design, or Game Mill, but in a way that makes them even more frustrating than those companies. They have access to great IPs and have made amazing games in the past. They could totally put out something solid, but they always seem to fumble it by putting out mediocre games and having 20 different game editions to buy and a billion different microtransactions. Also, having microtransactions in a single player game is kind of wild. Imagine Pokemon letting you skip a gym or giving you double XP if you pay $5. With Ubisoft becoming the king of mid, are gamers sick of them? Spoiler alert, yes. It's no secret, gamers have been sick of them for years now. There's a great video by Jack Sather called Sick of Ubisoft that's 2 years old now. It goes more in depth into many of their series and how they started versus how they are now. The video talks about how their games have become more generic, greedy, and formulaic as time has gone on. As I stated at the beginning of this video, Ubisoft has had multiple controversies this year. Let's take a look at some of them. Before we get started, I want to ask you all to subscribe and like the video if you're enjoying it so far. Let's get to 500 subscribers. I'll be putting out new videos weekly for you to enjoy. Thanks for helping out the channel. On February 16th of this year, Ubisoft released Skull and Bones. This game had a long and interesting development. It had been in development for over a decade. Ubisoft wanted to scrap it, but they were pretty much forced to make it because they borrowed money from Singapore's government. Singapore pretty much made them release this game. It's kind of similar to how Elon Musk was forced to buy Twitter. So if any of you are thinking of asking a government for money to fund your multi-million-dollar game idea, or joking about purchasing a social media platform, you should probably think twice. Speaking of millions, this was a really expensive game to make. It supposedly cost over $200 million to make, and probably cost millions more to advertise. So did all the money and time pay off? Nope, not really. What gamers found was a game that was very mediocre. Most agreed it was worse than Assassin's Creed Black Flag, a game that's over a decade old. This game doesn't even let you board ships, which is one of the most fun parts of pirate games. This game could have been called Pirate Simulator 2024, and it would make more sense as an addition to the pile of mediocre simulator games. To semi-quote Pirates of the Caribbean, you are without a doubt the worst pirate game I've ever heard of. Gamers were not impressed with the game or Ubisoft's attempts to hype up the game. They even called it a quadruple A game.
What?
Many people rightfully made fun of them for this. This is a bare bones game held together by duct tape and forced to be released by the Singapore government. Trying to call that a quadruple A game is pathetic.
It'd be funny if it weren't so pathetic. No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.
There's plenty of other videos that go over Skull and Bones in more depth, so you can check out those videos after this video if you want to know more about it. Let's move on to the first of this video's main topics, Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars is another thing that has once been great, but has now become very mediocre. Ever since Disney Plus came out, they've been flooding the service with tons of content, mostly just mid shows that are filled with nostalgia bait and lame characters. I don't think people are hyped up for the new Rey movie or the upcoming Star Wars show The Acolyte. So how did people respond when the trailer dropped for Star Wars Outlaws, a new Star Wars game from Ubisoft, which is apparently one of the most anticipated games of 2024?
Right.
It got ratioed to death. It's not a good idea to combine two things people are sick of, especially when the other future Star Wars releases are underwhelming. It's like mixing raw chicken and spoiled milk together in a blender. People were angry at the video for a variety of reasons. Most of the reasons were because of Ubisoft rather than the actual trailer itself. The trailer looks decent, but as many have pointed out, you shouldn't just trust the trailer. You should wait for it to be released and see the reception of the actual game. One of the big reasons that people disliked the trailer was because of some other controversy that Ubisoft had earlier about game ownership, which we'll talk about later in the video. The controversies aren't just about the game's trailer. There's other things like how you still need to connect to the internet to install the physical edition of the game, which kind of defeats the purpose of a physical edition. Now gamers can't play this game in their off-grid apocalypse bunker. There's also been backlash about the game's different editions. The standard game runs about $70. The gold edition is $110 and lets you play the game early and gives you a season pass to the DLC. The $130 Ultimate Edition gives you a digital art book, the Rogue Infiltrator bundle, and yes, because you all begged and pleaded for it, it does include the Sabak Shark bundle.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
You can also get the Ultimate Day 1 edition with Ubisoft Plus, which if you have, you should probably listen to those ads about services that help you cancel subscriptions that you don't need. One big piece of controversy for this is that part of the season pass includes missions that are available at launch. This isn't like releasing DLC for a game months after launch. This is stripping away part of a game and putting it behind a more expensive version of the game. Ubisoft's excuse is that it's an optional additional side mission. That's not a great excuse. There's tons of optional missions in games, and all that optional content makes up the full experience, so they're still taking away part of the game. Just think of a game like Skyrim or Fallout 3. Some of the best missions in them are side missions. When I play games like those, I can get lost in the side missions for hours and not even care about the main story during that time. So no, I don't think that's a good excuse, Ubisoft, especially when you need to pay another $40 to unlock this content, which is almost the price of a whole game. It's the price of multiple great indie games. You could buy Stardew Valley, Undertale, Terraria, and Town of Salem at full price for that much. Would you rather have those 4 games or pay that same money to get a game that you don't know anything about 3 days early and get the season pass content for? Do you think that content would even be better than just one of those 4 games? No one even knows if this game is going to be good yet. Why would you pay over $100 to pre-order a game and get extra content for a game that you might not even like? I wish I had money to blow like that. Please subscribe and like this video so I can have money to not spend on things like that. Also, I don't really understand the digital art book. I definitely understand physical art books. It's cool to flip through them and put them on your coffee table or in your nerd room. But a digital art book, that's either just something you'll never look at, or maybe you'll set your desktop background to one of the pictures. I'm just not a huge fan of expensive digital editions of things. You don't even get a physical copy with a cool box. Let's move on to the next big controversy Ubisoft has had, and that is for game ownership. Weeks ago, Ubisoft decided to take down their game, The Crew. Then to make matters worse, they took away a player's access to the game and told them to buy their other games. This is beyond ridiculous. I have a few games like San Andreas that aren't on Steam anymore, but I can still play them. Even though it's been delisted from the store, I still own the game on my account, and I can download and play it. That's how it should work, and if they do take away the game from you, you should be refunded either with store credit or actual money. This is a nightmare for people who are big advocates for game preservation like myself. I believe books, games, music, movies, artwork, and anything similar all deserve to be preserved. Preservation of these things has been important all throughout history. Different religions have access to ancient religious texts and records because of the preservation and hard work of many individuals. We have access to old folklore and fairy tales because of preservation. We can read old books like Bram Stoker's Dracula or Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which were both published in the 1800s because of preservation. I can stream very old and classic movies like Casablanca or The Wizard of Oz because of preservation. We've known for centuries how important preservation is, but companies like Ubisoft have no goodwill, just greed. They don't care about preservation or their fans. They'd say, that game's old, it's not making any money, throw it away. Here, play this worse, newer game that wants to take as much money as possible from you. True artists, writers, scholars, researchers, scientists, game designers, etc. know that the preservation of both art and knowledge is important. I'm sure that the developers and creative teams behind these games realize this, but it's not up to them. It's up to the hack suits who would urinate on their biggest fans to please their least important shareholders. I wonder how the developers who spent years working on these games feel about their games being thrown away like this. Those at the top don't care about preservation at all. They want to push subscription models because that's the hot new ticket. These models are the worst for preservation, as TV shows and movies that only come out on them can be lost forever when taken down. And the same goes for games. The subscription model turns art into content to be churned out and consumed and then thrown away. It's just anti-consumer consumer garbage. So how much is Ubisoft Plus, Ubisoft's game streaming service? $7.99 a month for the Classic Edition and $17.99 for the Premium Edition.
You serious?
That's pretty outrageous to ask for that much to get a collection of a bunch of mid games. You might as well just buy Xbox Game Pass, which is $9.99 for the Standard Edition and $16.99 for the Ultimate Edition. The Ultimate Edition is even cheaper than Ubisoft's Premium one and probably has way better games. I don't know why people would pay for Ubisoft Plus. Just buy their games on sale if you want them. Don't waste your money on this. The subscription model is getting ridiculous. I don't think some of them are bad because they have a good amount of content, but I don't know why you'd want to have just access to one publisher's meh library of games. I could see doing that if it was like Nintendo, but who loves Ubisoft or EA enough to do that? These companies don't care what you think. They see you as whales and dollar signs and think you'll be dumb enough to buy anything they slap a popular IP on. But I know you're smarter than that, and you should show them by not giving them your money. Don't pre-order games, especially the more expensive editions. If the game turns out to be good, just wait for it to go on sale if you want to buy it. So those are the big controversies that Ubisoft has had this year, and gamers are not happy with them. People are starting to fight against them. As I mentioned before, the Star Wars Outlaws trailer has been ratioed. People have also started campaigns against the anti-game preservation practices. You can go to stopkillinggames.com to read more about this. I'll put a link to it in the description of this video. We're tired of your shenanigans, Ubisoft and other companies. You need to get comfortable with getting less money as we stop putting up with your greed. What are your thoughts on these controversies? What do you think about Ubisoft? Are you sick of them? And if so, what was the last straw for you? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, please subscribe and leave a like. Our new sub goal is to get to 500 subscribers. If you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe for more quality content like this. If you have any topics you want me to cover, let me know in the comments below. I appreciate all of your comments and for the support I've seen so far on the channel. Thanks again for watching this video and for your support of the channel.